right? There you go. So we can kind of just start off. What because you're assistant athletic director, right? Is your
my title? My
yeah.
title is senior associate athletic director.
Okay.
No, that's the title.
Yeah.
Right.
And so then, with that title, what comes like in your daily life at NC State? What kind of is like the biggest, like your main like key goals you try to get through every day?
Okay. I guess my main responsibilities will be my sports supervisor responsibilities, which is a major focus from our athletic director. She wants to make sure our teams are taken care of. So I have 4 teams that I oversee, obviously baseball, men and women's soccer, and volleyball. Mm-hmm. And so the majority of my time is spent working with those coaches, trying to figure out what their needs are, how we can best assist their programs. So whether it's budget, whether it's facility stuff, it's just a lot of different things that make up day-to-day what I try to do to help those programs. And then I also oversee what we call our PAC performance team. So that's really all of our performance areas. So your strength and conditioning, your sports medicine, your dining, your nutrition, sports psychology. So all those areas, I meet with all those guys, those groups once every 2 weeks, and just try to stay up to date. And really what we try to do in that PAC performance team is we meet every 2 weeks as a group. So I meet with those folks individually, but then we meet as a group every 2 weeks, and where we always are talking about how can we best impact and provide collective resources for our student athletes. So we want all those groups working together. So that the majority of my time is doing that. It's emails, it's meetings, it's whatever comes to my door. You know, people say, you know, they like to have an open door policy. I'm the same way. Yeah. The biggest joy in my job is being able to interact with people. So I would never want to cut that part out. I can't just sit here and do work all day. I've got to get out and just go see people. So.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am. I figured, you know, when I, when baseball's done, you know, my time playing baseball is done, I figured I need to do something around athletics to, you know, keep me motivated every day to like want to wake up and, you know, go do something productive instead of sitting behind, like you said, behind a computer screen where, you know, after 2 weeks it's just monotonous, like boring work, and you don't want to get it done. So
Kent, I'll tell you this. I've been doing this for 20 years, man. I haven't worked a job in 20 years.
Yeah.
I literally jump out of the bed every morning just to be able to go and do my job. It doesn't come without, you know, challenges. There are challenges with it, but for the most part, I love doing what I do.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing too. I think is I'm gonna have to do something that I, like you said, want to jump out of the bed.
You'll figure it out.
And then let's see, kind of segue that. I know, like you said, you work with baseball. The 2 soccer teams and then volleyball. Yeah. What is the difference in season and out of season with those teams? Is there much of a difference that you like contact with those coaches, or is it just day to day?
It depends. So typically, I try to have bi-weekly meetings scheduled on the calendar for all 4 coaches. But what happens is I typically touch base with my coaches, the coaches that I have once at least a week. Every week I'm talking to each one of them, whether it's through text or for me, I want to go to practice. So I may just show up at practice just to see and just be there, but also support. So I'll give you a perfect example. Right now I've got 3 teams in season because they're fall sports. So you have volleyball, men and women's soccer. So volleyball is a little bit of a longer season, so we'll continue to meet at that pace. If she knows if she's got anything that she needs. Like we had a long conversation this morning. I'm always available to talk. So that's my thing. Is whenever you need me, I'm there. I'll make time. But like right now with men's and women's soccer, they're getting close to the postseason. So their last regular season match for the women is Thursday, men Friday, and then they're both going to play in the ACC tournament. And so right now, the men are going to host the first round, and the women, if they win Thursday, likely will host the first round on Sunday. So now I'm talking to those coaches, but I'm also on conference calls because we're going to be a host. So I'm now working with different groups, whether it's our facilities groups or our communications folks, our sports med people, because you have to kind of plan for what's next.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working behind the scenes trying to figure out. Women's soccer is tricky because they will, once they play Thursday night, they'll find out, if they're going to host or if they're going to have to travel.
Yeah.
And then they'll have to play Sunday. So there's a lot of logistical stuff behind the scenes that I'm trying to get done on the front end, because if we got to fly out somewhere, say we got to fly to Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
Well, last year we had to go to Notre Dame. There's no direct flights there.
Yeah.
And then it's hard to find a flight at that late of a notice where you can get 35 seats.
Mm-hmm.
So now we've got to figure out what's the best way to get our team there, because they're not going to just give us a charter flight to go.
Yeah.
And so those things require more constant communication with the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I try to do more than anything is I try to meet with them early, figure out what you need, and then what I do is I say, you go coach and let me handle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I come back and then I'll update you on the stuff that I have, because I really want them to concentrate on their team.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so it's to be honest, man, as I sit here and I talk to you, it's a good reflection for me. I know this is probably not part of your project, but it's
Yeah.
helpful for me because it gives me a chance to really appreciate what I'm doing. In my mind, I'm a servant.
Yeah.
I'm here to serve multiple constituencies, whether it's our student athletes, our coaches, our support staff. That's what I'm here for, and I love that.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, that's definitely. I think that's another big thing too. Is just the constant communication. I think
Sure.
that's a big factor
Yeah.
with everything. And so I think that also kind of helps segue into another question. I know
Mhm.
grades and like GPA is like the big thing that everyone wants to like keep a high GPA so you can get into like a beginner entry level job at the best place you can. What
Mhm.
about like with your position? Was there something like an entry level job that you had to go through to get to here, or were you kind of just like, I want to do this, I apply for this, and then if I get the job, I get the job?
So, so just so you know, before I answer this question, I'm gonna give a disclaimer that my background is in academics. So that's my
Yeah.
core. That's where I
Yeah.
started in this profession, was in academics as an
Mhm.
academic advisor, counselor, and then also overseeing the academic unit. So, what I say to you right now, I'm just telling you the truth. Okay.
Mhm.
So, GPA matters.
Yeah.
No question about it.
Oh, yeah.
But what matters more is consistent work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
For me, people have different abilities, a different foundation of academics.
Mm-hmm.
For me, give your all, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you giving your all is a B- in the class and not an A,
Mhm.
and I know you gave great effort because you're going to class, you're going to your tutor sessions, you're doing all the things, you're going to meet with your professor, and the best you can get is a B-, that to me is successful.
Mhm.
I think so many times we try to say a person should have this GPA, because I think what happens is, as a student athlete,
Mhm.
when you give your all there, it's going to show up in what you do in your sport. But also know that as a person who's looking for a job out of college,
Mhm.
one of the things you put on your resume is that you are a student athlete. And most people understand what that means. They understand it's a full-time job. They understand what you have to balance. They understand also the things that you learn through it, being a great teammate, understanding leadership, understanding time management. So, I think sometimes we try to place too much of an emphasis on GPA in terms of getting a job. I had a fairly average GPA
Mhm.
undergrad. Because I just I didn't balance what things well. There was a lot of different
Yeah.
things I was interested in instead of just my sport and school. And so I had about a 2.7,
Mhm.
and then I was very fortunate to get my master's degree. But, unless you're going into something really, really specific and specialized, whether you're going to be a doctor or a pharmacist or a business person, or I don't know that the GPA is that big of an indicator,
Mhm.
or more so than just the effort that it takes to show progression, because that's
Yeah.
what you should be showing is progression. Am I
Mhm.
getting better over time once I figure this thing out? So that's one thing. For me, my entry level position was I started off as a graduate assistant
Mhm.
in academics. I was going to grad school. I had an opportunity to come back and do that, and I just kind of worked my way through grad school while I worked, and from there I got exposed to some different people, and I networked, and I met people who took higher level jobs and offered me a job,
Mhm.
and it really works, man. I mean, people say all the time, It's about who you know, and it's so true. It's about who you know and who knows you. And so, as I have this time with you, again, whoever's watching, understand this. When you come in and talk to me, I want to give you information to help you with your assignment, but also want you to understand, if you're trying to do something beyond this, it's very important that you approach every day as an interview.
Yeah.
Because you never know the people that you come across who you might need to help you along the way. And I'm telling you from firsthand experience for me, because there's so many people who helped me along to where I am. I don't get here, trust me, by myself. There's so many people who have paved the way for me and helped me in some form or fashion. And it's because, when you build a reputation, your reputation matters. People look at you for your pattern. Sometimes we can bring our representative out, right? When we're interviewing, we can bring our representative.
Yeah.
Well, people want to look for your patterns. Who are you over time? How consistent are you? And I think that matters. So just, Clint, Kent, remember that.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Yeah,
okay?
I think
if you don't
so.
leave with anything today, remember that.
So it's more not just about the GPA, but about the intangibles that come along with
It's all
that.
about the intangibles. They want to see a well-rounded person, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're doing this, if you're doing baseball and you're doing your sport and you're doing some other community service things, now they want to see leadership stuff, right? Not just in your sport, so they want to get you involved in other things outside of athletics. But if you can show that you're well-rounded, that gives more weight to where your GPA is.
Yeah.
Because it's not just GPA. Everybody, some people can be really book smart, but not have any type of practical or applicable experience. So.
Yeah, I think I like what you said about the networking too. My dad always told me that, always pay attention to your surroundings and you know who's watching, because down the road you might run into that same person and then they could help you along the way, or they could hurt you.
And it's so true. It's so true. Never burn bridges.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Let's see. Kind of back to your daily tasks and stuff. What like you said, I know you said you like to get out of bed and you kind of just come ready to work at all times and everything. But what's like your favorite part of working here at NC State versus like, I know most people say like the paperwork sucks, but like what for you is like the highs and the lows?
The highs?
Yeah.
For me, this right here.
Yeah.
Just interacting with people, particularly student athletes. You guys are the reason why I do this, and because I was a student athlete.
Yeah.
And for me, from a personal experience, I had one coach who I played for. He ended up leaving. New coach came in, and my experience wasn't the same with the new head coach. And there were times I didn't feel good about myself as a person or as a player. But I had a coach who came into my life, and he was my assistant. He was like the assistant coach. He was my position coach. And he was so encouraging. He was so encouraging in everything I did, and so he picked me up. He believed in me, and when I didn't really believe in myself, and he picked me up so much to where that's where I'm now being in a position, long, 20 years ago, I was put in a position where I can now be that person to someone else. And I've seen so many student athletes that I've been able to work with just with believing in them and what they can do. Because sometimes it's amazing what you can do when you believe that you can do it, right? And so for me, the most gratifying thing for me is having those conversations to where you can share some of your knowledge or you can learn something from somebody. Because too many times I think we as grown-ups or administrators or whatever you want to call us, we think that we have all the information that we can provide. And I don't look at it that way. I mean, I think learning for me is a reciprocal process. So I learn from you just as you learn from me. And I want to learn from you because I want to be able to help that next person that comes in my office. And if I'm not trying to learn, then I think I got it all. If I got it all figured out, I'll know nothing. And so that's one of the things that I enjoy the most. I think the thing for me that is probably, if I had to rate it now in my life, is just the time away from my family. It's a demanding job. It's not 9 to 5. It's work until the job is done. For us, our AD, her expectation, and I agree with it, is that when our teams are playing, we're around. I'm not just, you see me. I'm going to be For the most part, at every game, every series, I'm going to make a couple of road trips when we go postseason.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that with baseball, but I'll be doing that with men and women's soccer. I'm doing it with volleyball.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of times when